and
Yeah, but now I
sorry.
can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Your audio on?
Okay.
I
Can
try.
everyone
Want to give it a shot?
Can you hear me, Mike?
There, Heather.
Can you hear me, Mike? Mike Knoll is muted. Mike, your microphone is muted. Paul, you can't unmute him, can you?
I can ask him to unmute. That's what I just did.
Okay.
Oh, that
Can
worked.
you hear us, Mike?
Okay.
Wasn't that just him we heard?
Mike, can you hear us?
Just maybe my volume is on.
We can hear you, Mike.
Maybe even the volume is. Give it a shot. Happened at my last Zoom meeting.
Heather's got this.
It says mute over there in the corner. What is it?
Well, they can hear you.
I know.
Yeah, we can't hear you guys.
We haven't been making any noise. Can you hear us now? I can't wait till we're back in person again.
Yeah.
Is there a, let's see, is there a way he can use his phone to be able to hear us?
Apparently, it's not letting him unmute.
For a while there, I had to use my laptop for sound and my telephone for microphone. Technology.
Oh, Mike Mackin just joined. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike. See, Mike Mackin, you're muted.
I am technologically challenged.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's hope that Mike Knoll will be able to join us. But looks like we have a quorum with myself, Brett, and Mike Mackin.
Having said
I'm
that,
sorry,
Mr.
I
Chairman,
actually sent a text about a half an hour ago to Dave saying I'd be a little late. I apologize if I held up a meeting.
No, that's fine. We're having other technical issues too. Okay, since we have a quorum, why don't we get going? Paul, is this still being recorded? Paula?
Hey, guess who's
You mean-
back?
Yeah, yes, it is.
That was easy.
Mike, can you
Mike,
hear us?
Mike made it.
Yeah, thanks to Heather taking over the technical part.
Okay. Um, it is, Paul, is this still on recording?
Yes.
Okay. It is 6:15 on September 26th. I'm John Reynolds, Chairman of the Sewer Commission. And this is again, as I mentioned, the regular meeting for September 26th. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is being recorded and will able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link to join the public meeting webinar found on the posted agenda, or from a phone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar number 792-737-0353. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. No participant ID is needed. Just press pound when asked. I'm going to do a roll call vote to verify which commissioners are here. Brett Ramsden,
Aye.
Mike Nault,
Aye.
Mike Mackin,
Aye.
and I for myself. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Bill Bernard,
Here.
Paula Bertram,
Here.
and Jane Rainley.
Here.
Okay. Do we have any public comment from the public? Okay, seeing none. Any public comment from the commissioners or staff? No? Any announcements from anyone? No? All right, let's go into our appointments, and I apologize to the two of you that were starting late. But the first one was originally scheduled for 6:10. Lawrence Lagoy, the Reboot Restaurant. Paula, why don't you sort of summarize what he's looking for here?
Mr. Chairman, so La Balena is now, I think, called the Reboot, opened in December of 2022. The requirement is to have the interceptor to be cleaned a minimum of every 6 months. So the interceptor there should have been cleaned in June of 23 and the report sent to us within 30 days. I have gone back and forth and communicated with Mr. Lagoy, and my understanding is that he has had the interceptor cleaned twice since opening. However, he has not been able to obtain the reports from the company. And he's here because we do not have the reports. And so I'll let Mr. Lagoy take it. Yeah, we can't hear you, Mr. Lagoy.
Mr. Lagoy, you're
He's not muted, but we can't hear him. Mike Nault, can you unmute and make sure we can still hear you?
There I am.
okay.
Got me?
Okay. Or Mr. Lagoy, maybe you can do something with your laptop and fix the sound. And in the meantime, let's see, we can't start the second appointment until 6:30, but we can go on to some current business.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great.
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry about that, everyone.
That's okay.
All right. This is my first little Zoom meeting that I've ever had to attend, so I apologize about that.
I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that being your first.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, as Ms. Bertram had mentioned, we had been in communication, and I had offered to submit at a bare minimum the invoices for the services rendered for the grease tank pumpings that were done. And she said that would not suffice due to, the agreement, with the town of Lunenburg. And as I understand that fully, it's kind of out of my control as to the company that did it. There's no way for me to force them into submitting this. I've been in communication with them just recently this week, and I even submitted him over the forms that Ms. Bertram had sent to me, so he could even download them and print them off and fill them out and submit them to you folks. And unfortunately, she has yet to receive them, and I have not gotten any communication back from the company since I've sent those emails with that information to them. So I'm asking is, can you advise to me as to what I can do to get these reports completed by the company? Because obviously I can't fill those out myself. It needs their signatures on them. So any help is appreciated.
What's the name of the company that you?
Aeroseptic. The gentleman's name is John Whittemore.
Okay. I'm not familiar with Arrow.
And on the other side to this, like I had mentioned to Ms. Bertram, I had reached out to another company as well to get things done properly moving forward, since I am having issues with the current company. So I am looking forward to move to a different company to hopefully alleviate this issue in the future.
Okay. So, Paul, these reports are needed to keep him in compliance or to be able to issue the permit.
Well, actually, both. It's really up to the commission. Right now, technically, he is non-compliant because it has to be on a form approved by the sewer commission. And the reason for that is because we want to know the amount of grease, the amount of sludge, and the percentage of fog. And the invoice doesn't give us that information. It just simply shows it was done, but it doesn't give us any information about the condition of the trap of the interceptor.
Right.
So, I do know that Mr. Lugoy offered to send the invoices and whether the commission will accept that as in lieu of the reports. It's really up to you guys how you want to do it.
When was the last time it was pumped?
Last pumping was done in June, if I remember correctly.
June.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Lagoy, do you have anything that says it was pumped in June?
I do. I have invoices that were emailed to me stating that the tank, it's a 4,000 gallon tank, and the invoice states that 4,000 gallons were pumped. But as Ms. Bertram said, that there's nothing on the invoice that states the condition of the tank or anything relative to the other items that you're looking for on that report. It only states the amount that was pumped out.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I just have a question. That's really large for an external interceptor.
I know.
That's fine.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So the second company that I'm trying to work with now, they told me they had pumped it back in 2016, and they had a register of 3,000 gallons that were pumped out of it. So that was back in 2016, back under Alan Cassimi's ownership.
Okay. Mike or Brett, do you have any questions? Any thoughts?
Well, my only thought would be, at least get us the invoice for what's been done already. And then, I don't know if we can reach out to the company and ask for the information, or let the channels go for now, see if he gets it to us. You know, it's kind of hard where, I mean, obviously, if he's got receipts, he had it done. It's the company he used that's doing the negligence right now, so,
Right.
I mean, you know, with some sort of time frame here, I'd say.
Right. Right.
I have a
What was the
question for Mr. Goy.
4,000 gallon? I'm
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
go ahead, Bill. Oh, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
You said that you were seeking another company as well?
Yes, I've spoke to Wind River Environmental, and they're the ones that mentioned back in 2016. They were the ones that pumped it in the amount of 3,000 gallons is what they registered when they last pumped it. And I had reached out them to get on board with them, and they said they're accepting new clients at this time, and they are willing to accept me. And they, when I'm due for another pumping, they're willing to come out, and it is my intentions to use them. The gentleman I spoke with, I let him know that there is a form required by the town of Lunenburg that needs to be filled out and submitted to the town of Lunenburg by their company. And he said he was very well aware of it, and he said it wouldn't be an issue.
Thank you.
Yes.
They do service quite a few different establishments in town.
Right. Right.
I was going to ask that question as well to see like what companies are used in the town that are used to this, you know, procedure that you guys have, just so it can kind of help me be a lot more, you know, informed to what's happening within the town and the resources that are available, you know, for all of that.
Okay, so the last pumping was in June, for which you have an invoice.
Yes, sir.
And are you thinking of having Wind River come, let's see, 6 months out from June, which would be December?
Yeah, November, December, I was looking to have them come out and have them do it.
I guess I would feel more comfortable if you could get them out there sooner, so that we have documentation, rather than waiting until November, December.
I understand fully where you're coming from. It's $1,500 to have this pumped, so it's not like having a $200, $300 septic
Right.
system pumped. It's extremely expensive. So
Yeah.
for me to have it done sooner is certainly a hardship for me. I can certainly see what I can do to get it done before September. You know, late October, early November. Would that work for you?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Brett.
I'm thinking with a 4,000 gallon tank, we have proof at least in billing that it's been pumped twice. That doesn't mean that, you know, it's guaranteed to be in good shape, but that doesn't fill that quickly, I wouldn't think. At the same time, what if we did something, maybe come up with a plan to maybe reach out to the company ourselves, by email and by paper. I don't mean to put extra work on you, Paula, but to reach out to the company, see what we can get back. If Mr. Lagoy could continue to reach out a couple more times if possible. And if we don't hear something back from them or unable to get any information from them, then I do agree it would be good to make sure that it's clean. I just don't want to cause people to spend more than they have to when they've been
Right.
doing their best to be compliant.
Okay.
So I'd rather not see him have to do that sooner than he has to, unless it's deemed absolutely necessary.
Okay. Again, part of-
Mr. Chairman,
yes, go ahead, Mike.
it seems clear that Mr. Lagoy has been making every attempt to comply. And that knowing that he has a receipt that has already been pumped. And given the cost of a new business that's trying to establish itself, something that is needed in our town.
Right.
I think letting the process go to the point where his next provider will provide the documentation would be my recommendation.
Okay. I think in the short run, that means that we would have to accept the invoices as evidence of pumping to allow his permit to be issued, correct, Paula?
Correct.
Okay, so the commission would need to make a vote, take a vote on that. So if someone wants to make a motion to that effect.
Well, since that was my belief, I'll make that motion. I make a motion that we extend the permit and with the stipulation that we expect that when the next cycle comes around, that we'll get a full report.
Okay, does someone want to second that?
I'll second that motion.
Okay,
Mr.
Any
Chairman,
further?
Mr. Chairman, could I just request that as a condition, we do receive the invoices via email?
Paula, I will, as soon as I'm done with this meeting with you guys, I will get right on and I will forward them to you tonight.
okay.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Chairman, I'd like to add that we should still try to get the information from the company if at all possible.
I will continue to do that, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion here, which I think needs to be amended just to make it conditional that the permit be issued once the invoices are received.
As the maker of the motion, I accept the amendment.
Okay. Anyone want to second?
I'll second the
Okay.
second motion. How's that?
Okay, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Knoll,
Aye.
Mike Mackin, Brett,
Aye.
and I for myself, the motion passes. Okay,
Good luck, Mr. Lagoy.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate
good
your
luck to
time
you.
and sorry to take up your time with all of this. I
That's
wish I
okay.
had more control.
okay, it is 6:30. The second employment is Alan Wernick, Bad Larry's regarding grease trap permit renewal.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
After all the problems, I wanted to make sure. Okay.
Appreciate that.
Okay, I guess my greatest concern is as a sewer commissioner that, obviously we have to protect our system from grease. And we know we had an issue recently with grease in our line. And, it appears the grease is coming from Bad Larry's. I'm not sure, Mr. Warnick, if you want to start talking now or.
I mean, I just want to know what exactly, see, I've had several phone calls and some other information. And first off, I want to say about the gentleman before me, I have Wind River and I'm still waiting for reports from them. So it's not as quickly as he's going to think it's going to happen, because I have the Jack's down the street and I just had that pumped and I've been trying to get that form filled out from them. So it's just, I sympathize with the gentleman before me. It's not going to be easy. The That being said, to Bad Larry's, when I took over Bad Larry's, this place was a blank hole, okay? It had no functioning grease trap. The baffles were removed. The pipe that was going to the exterior of the building had about a quarter size hole in the middle of it. The rest of it was like a clogged artery. It needed a bypass. I've been working diligently for 7 years trying to unmess up a situation that I walked into. That being said, I'm a little bit taken back only because I've done nothing but be proactive with everything. I try to keep the grease trap cleaned. I hired a company to come in and clean out my grease trap once every 3 months, which is not required, but I do it at my own expense to make sure that it's cleaned and it's inspected. I have my pipes routed now every year. It's not necessary, but I still had some clogs. 2 years ago, I started a jetting program. And what I'm finding with the jetting program is that we're getting a huge amount of grease from my predecessor out of the pipe, which I think exacerbated the problem. Okay.
Sure. If I could just sort of interject here. Paul did a really good job of summarizing the reports that you did send her. And, you know, I see the word grease here, you know, a few times. It's recommended by Wind River that that you do some repairs internally. I think they even recommended that you actually replace the grease trap, the internal grease trap. But beyond that,
that grease trap's only 7 years old.
Okay.
It put it in brand new when I came in here.
Okay. But also beyond that, in 2015, there were some discussions and meetings and the line was cambered in 2015 and there was no evidence of any grease back then.
Which line?
The sewer lines at Bad Larry's. I mean, I can read you the excerpt from the minutes of 5/16/15, where you know, Carl Luck was the chairman, Dave McDonald was the vice chair, Mike Nault was there, and then the guests were you and Daisy.
Okay.
And here's the summary. Carl opened the meeting at 5:35. The issue of whether the owner of 1 Main Street is required at this time to install an external interceptor was discussed. After the discussion, the motion made by Dave McDonald as a result of the video of waste pipes at 1 Main Street, an interceptor is not required at this time. If at any point in the future it is deemed necessary by the Sewer Commission to keep the pipes free of obstructions caused by fat, oil, grease, an interceptor will be required to be installed. And that was seconded by Mike Nault. A vote was taken and it was unanimously approved. So from reading this and a few other emails, it seems like back then, the whole reason a interceptor wasn't required is because the lines were clear. Now, Paul, you probably had more time to read these than I did. Am I kind of summarizing this correctly or not?
No, that's exactly correct. Initially, the Sewer Commission, and again, I wasn't here then, but going back through some of the documentation, initially the Sewer Commission was going to require the installation of an external interceptor when the property changed hands. And then there were several discussions about whether or not an interceptor would be required. And as you said, what ended up happening is they cambered the lines in May of 2015. And Bill and I actually watched that video today, and there is no evidence of grease in the lines at that time. And so after the cammering, there was a meeting and the commission decided not to require the external interceptor at that time. However, you know, it would be necessary if grease became a problem.
So question, how far up did they go all the way up into my grease trap?
Bill is more expert at that than I am.
No, it looked like it was only from manhole to manhole out in the parking lot.
Right, so this is what I'm saying. When we had that meeting and we were talking about the external grease trap and they cameraed it and they didn't decide whatever, I was probably in the process of building it 2015 and hadn't yet experienced the removal of the existing grease trap to find out exactly what the issues were. But I did agree at that time to put in a brand new grease trap. So I hired a plumber, we put in a brand new grease trap, and the line from the grease trap to, and are you, is anybody here familiar with how this thing is routed? Okay, it comes out of, you're familiar with my building, right?
Yep.
It comes out of the end of the building across the parking lot where the dumpster is. There's a retaining wall there. At the retaining wall, there is a clean out. It then goes down about 10 feet, takes a sharp 90-degree turn, goes about 100 feet towards the rear parking lot or wherever it is, then takes another turn into a main pipe, which goes down into the back manhole, not the front manhole. So if you went from manhole to manhole and you didn't inspect the lines of my thing, I'm not arguing with you about an external grease trap. That's not the argument. The argument with me is that the pipes that once I got in here and cleaned out those pipes, which I've continued to do, is adding to the problem. I think we have not cameraed these pipes yet, but I think we've got most of these pipes cleaned out in the building. I'm discussing this with the landlord now because I've paid. They had a problem before where the bank had flushed unflushables and blocked my lines up. And nobody's taking responsibility. It cost me $2,000 and it wasn't even my issue. But I've been taking the proactive issue of, jetting these lines and trying to clear out all the old grease that was there from the previous owner. I mean, I'm not arguing this. If this is about an external grease trap and you want one in, that's a different discussion. I'm only on here because I'm don't want to take responsibility for the blockage of something that was pre-existing that I did in fact add to by cleaning my lines, but I shouldn't be held responsible for trying to do the right thing. That's all I'm here for. The external grease trap issue, that's a different creature. And if we want to discuss that, I have no problem with if you guys feel as though we need an external grease trap put in. That's something for the landlord and me and the sewer commission to discuss. I have no, I don't know why I'm here. Is it for problem A or you want an external grease trap? I'm a little perplexed.
Well, we're just trying to understand the whole issue.
Okay, so that's what that's what I was trying to say earlier is that when I walked in here, literally, you might have scoped the front, but the lines from the building to the manhole were never scoped, and those were pretty well clogged up. And he didn't even have a functioning grease trap at that time. So I'm surprised you didn't have any grease. That's, there wasn't even a baffle in there. The baffle was completely gone out of that grease trap. And it's a 4-inch pipe. Let me see, 4-inch pipe, and about that much of it was available. We literally was sitting there with scrapers, scraping out the beginning of it just so we could get things. Then we routed it and we kept getting clogged. So for the first 2 years we were here, we had line clogs that were due to grease issues from the prior owner. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So we've been jetting it. We've been jetting it. And the last time, I don't know who was down there looking out there, and there was like chunks of grease. That's not new grease. That's stuff that's been in that line that we're trying to clean out so that we don't have any issues here.
That clean out, it was me that was there, and Bill.
Okay, I don't remember faces. I was
running. And yeah, we did see chunks of grease, some pretty big chunks of grease at that clean out at a time where they were going from the clean out to the grease trap in that direction.
Right.
So if you have already had that jetted out, have had it jetted out in the past, and yet there's chunks of grease coming out, doesn't that mean there's grease getting past your grease trap? And it couldn't all be sitting there from.
I wish you could have seen it. I'm not trying to be like over dramatic about this because honestly, I've done this for 40 years. Okay, I've built many businesses and so forth and so on. This is the only time I've ever had an issue. I mean, I'll show you my Fitchburg cleanouts and everything else. I know it's Lunenburg, but every place I've been, I've never had an issue with it. We do the right things. We have the grease traps, we clean them, so forth and so on. This is the only time when I walked into a garbage situation here in the thing. And to answer your question about the jetting, no, the first time you jet might loosen it all up. The second time you might jet, might clean it, start cleaning the stuff out. The third time you might jet, might loosen it all up and it all comes out. It's no different than a bypass surgery type deal. You got to get in there and basically loosen it up and let it sit. And I think we're finally clean. I'd like to just get it scoped out and see now. I was going to pay for a camera, but I'm into this for 10 grand right now between all the blockages and cleanouts for 7 years trying to get this situation. That's what I had a discussion. I can send you my text messages to the landlord. I was on with them yesterday talking about just the fact about you're probably going to require an exterior grease trap and that, what his plans are to make that happen, because it's not my property. I'm not going to invest, $30,000 in somebody else's property for an external grease trap.
Right. Okay. Any other thoughts or comments from any of the other commissioners?
So obviously I was on sewer in those days, and I'm trying to recall a lot of this. If I recall how this came about was there was a similar clog to what we just had happened, and we suspected it was coming. At that time, it was both businesses, okay, because the next door, the market, was also using a grease trap of their own, I believe, or sharing the same. I can't remember the exact how it went down. So we were looking at an external grease trap is what we were looking at. At the time, the powers that may be basically said that we didn't recommend it, or we didn't need it at the time, that they had camera, just as they said. And we were more, if I remember, as on the commission basis, we were more towards having it to keep it protected, because it was just like this last clog was a pretty nasty one. That one was the same. So, but the recommendations to us were to go the way we voted, which was to, go with just the grease trap there and not go external, but with the stipulations, as you said, that if down the road there's issues, we have to look at an external trap.
Again, like I said, I don't have a problem with an external trap. That's
Sure. Yeah.
That wasn't my
Yes.
bone of contention at all. I just didn't want to be held liable for trying to do the right thing and cleaning up and doing everything and then being held responsible for this clog. If you guys want me to put in an external grease trap, I'd be happy to hold that discussion with the landlord, as long as you vote on it or whatever you have to do, and send me the paperwork and send him the paperwork and say, listen, at this point in time, we think that this is necessary to be done. Like I said, I'm not trying to fight with the commission at all. I'm trying just to protect my interest in my business, just like you're trying to protect the town and in the sewer system, and I have an external grease trap in Fitchburg, so I'm familiar with it. I get it pumped twice a year, so it's not something new. You guys had me put one in it when I had Center Pizza on 1353 Mass Ave. I put one in, converted a tight tank. So it's not that I'm uncooperative. If anything, I think I was the first person in town. Once you put the sewage in, you said you had to have it. I had mine converted immediately over. I was just surprised that this place was never had one put in that when the sewer went in,
Okay. Brett or Mike Mackin, you have any thoughts or comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
when I was reading through all the documentation last night that Paula had sent, and what was sent today, I have to admit, when I read the section where Al had mentioned that he had to put in an external grease trap at Center Pizza, where it wasn't required up here in the center of town. I was a little confused by that whole thing myself, and wondering why the commission wouldn't have required it then of the owner at that time. They've been proven to work. And the commission at the time found reason to require it at Center Pizza. So I'm a little confused why it isn't already installed at 1 Main Street. I don't know if there's any answers out there to be had, but I do find that kind of confusing myself.
Okay.
You know, if there are any answers.
Right.
So that basically goes back to the recommendations we had as a sewer commission. Okay, from the DPW, that, you know, it wasn't needed at this point in time. So that's why we put the stipulation in. So we would, you know, just like if Bill were to speak up right now and say, I'm against that, having it for such a reason, I think as a commission, we take a good look at it. And
I'm just
Right.
wondering where
Bill
was it
requested in this case.
right? Was it the last director that required it? Was it the
The powers that
our-
may be, that's all I'm gonna say here.
Yeah.
Right.
They can-
I didn't know if it included, you know, the people servicing our, you know,
Yeah.
our system, if they recommended it. I'm just trying to figure it out, but
Yeah, no, I don't think they were involved.
Yeah, the sewer commission had initially recommended it and required it. A letter was sent to the property owner and to Mr. Warnick that he needed to install it. And initially it was that they needed to install an external trap. It does appear, looking at some of the old records, that there was a question about whether the business was being remodeled or not, and it was determined that the establishment really was not being remodeled. And so then the question became, should they have to install an external? And that's when they did the cammering of the lines.
This goes back, excuse me, this goes back prior to that. I just don't understand why when the sewer was when Village Pizza was initially incepted and you put the sewer in at that time, when the restaurant who was producing, it was I was only a convenience store with a pizza shop in it. And you guys, the commission then required me to put an external grease trap in, but a restaurant in the center of town on a brand new sewer system was not. Same sewer system, same lines, different standards. You know, that was my question that Brett was asking, is in the inception of the sewer system, when it was brand new and people were hooking into it, they made me put one in, but they didn't make the center of town put one in. And that was a full restaurant, and I was just a rinky-dink pizza shop. So, you know, there's questions to be had, but I'm not even here to argue that point. You know, it's freaks under the bridge. You know, there's nothing we can do about it. Let's just
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go ahead.
a question for Ms. Bertram. I assume they're in compliance with all of their cleaning and paperwork.
Yes, I do get the reports regularly for both establishments.
So, and they're not the owner of the property.
That's correct.
So it seems to me that they've done what they needed to do on their end. That's my only.
Well, I just will say that there's definitely a grease problem in that area of the sewer line. And that's been witnessed by members of the DPW, our DPW director, our chairman, and 2 companies that have serviced the lines.
My point is that he's not the owner of the property. It's the owner of the property that we need to be talking to.
Well, I will say that we have many restaurants that are landlord-tenant situations, and it is up to the establishment to provide the necessary reports.
He's provided the necessary reports.
That's all. I'm bringing it forward because we have.
I'm just saying that he has no ability to change the property. His landlord does.
That's correct.
That's my only point.
Well, moving forward, what if we, it's been established that there's some sort of a grease problem, regardless of the traps that are currently in place. Al has certainly been compliant with his reports. But knowing there's a problem, as it's been mentioned, we can't go backwards, but moving forward, I think it would behoove us to certainly consider recommending and requiring an external grease trap at this time. And that discussion should be approached, and maybe we should reach out to the property owner and move forward from here. It's just a recommendation. Other thoughts?
Right. He was notified of the issue and was invited to attend the meeting if he so chose. But yeah, it is a difficult situation because, and we had this in another restaurant in town that was it's the same situation. And we did require the landlord to install a larger external grease trap, because the grease trap that was installed was sufficiently, it was insufficient. So I guess I need some help from the commission where to go here, because I think we're all saying that an external grease trap needs to be installed. And we know it's not the restaurant owner's responsibility, but there is a grease issue there. And of course, Mr. Warnick is looking to be able to continue operating his business, which is dependent on us approving a permit for him. So, do we want to approve a permit contingent upon an external grease trap being installed by some date? Any thoughts on that?
My thought is that he has no control over whether the owner will do that or not. So making the permit contingent on that is out of his control. That doesn't seem right to me.
Folks, I hate to interrupt, but unfortunately, I'm glad there's still a quorum, but I'm going to have to pull myself from the meeting at this time. I'm sure we'll be discussing this again in the future. So I apologize, but I do need to run at this moment.
Thanks, Rick.
Good luck, Rick.
Everyone have a great evening.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Good night.
You do.
All right. Well, I think, again, we're all in agreement that we need an interceptor there.
Yep.
I guess it's how to go about ensuring that it gets installed.
Well, if you require it and I can't provide it, then I have to leave. That's my only alternative, because if he won't install it, then, and you require it, then we're at a catch-22, I think if you give us time, we might be able to work out something with the landlord. Maybe your first step would be to approach him, and say, listen, this is what we're thinking we need to get done. I've talked to him today. He said he was going to be here at the meeting. I talked to him yesterday, because I knew this, I saw this coming down the pike. And again, like I said, I had no issue with this at all. My only issue is that I don't have the funds, and especially after the COVID 2 years, the restaurant business has not been very generous. We're only open 35 hours a week right now. So, that's another reason why I couldn't fathom a grease issue, because we're barely, even changing our fryers at this point, about once a week, because we're not like we were when we're open full time.
Yep.
So it's a question.
Paula, just remind me, when is the deadline for us to issue permit?
Well, actually, we're already delayed.
Already
If you guys
past it,
recall, we're already past it. I just will say that the permit is issued to the establishment, not to the property owner.
Right.
The permit to discharge to our sewer line. It is not to the property owner.
It sounds
It
like we really,
seems to me that the establishment has no control over what we're requesting. And that I would approve the permit, given the fact that the business has been in compliance with what they needed to do to keep the sewers clean. And we need to hold the property owner responsible.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
don't know how we do that.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
yes.
I just want to note that clearing this clog was extremely expensive to the sewer commission. So I just want to point that out. We need to do something to ensure that it doesn't happen again. We are on an extremely tight budget. And this was a very expensive endeavor, as was this last jetting.
All right, is there any way that we can,
Well, if I may, one thing I can do is I can make it a little bit more aggressive cleaning on, as far as my part goes, as far as instead of the once a month, the weekly inspection, I can scoop grease and throw it into the grease pit weekly to help that in the interim until we can figure this out. Because I don't believe me when I say this, I don't want any problems or any issues with the town as far as grease goes and stuff until we can resolve this. I have no problem with on Sunday when we're closed coming in here and emptying out half the pit and dumping it into my grease interceptor outside because they just recycle the same grease. They just recycle it, just to try to alleviate, I'll do what I can to help you guys right now, until we can figure this through. I mean, I just don't want to shut my doors because of an issue that is beyond my control at this point in time.
yep, I hear you, Al. Bill, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so just to echo what Paula said, we still are finding grease in the line, so there's grease coming from somewhere. It kind of points to Bad Larry's. So something has to be done. I do recommend going with the external grease trap. That should solve any problems.
If I may, sir, just a quick question. Have they inspected the line since the clog? Is it still a grease issue, or was the clog the last time we inspected it? Because I want to know, because if it's ongoing, if my guys are doing something they're not supposed to be doing, then I need to know that too, because I'm not here all the time. But they've been told not to dump the greasy water down the sink. They've been told not to dump the oil down the sink. Everything's supposed to go outside into the grease barrel, whatever you want to call it, the rendering pit, so that we can alleviate these problems. I told them, no, I don't want any grease, not even bacon grease. We dumping the bacon grease into the pot and dumping it outside now, making sure, that all that stuff is, I'm trying to be very proactive on this because of this issue. And I don't want a clog, and don't want somebody's cellar to back up. And I know it stinks. I've been there. I know. I was shocked when it happened, and I just want to, whatever. I'm sorry. I talk a lot. I apologize. Cut me off. I'm a little defensive right now, if you can't tell.
So look, is there?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think there was a question about whether or not we've looked at the line since the clog, and Bill could respond.
Yes. Yes, so we had a company come in 2 weeks ago, and we jetted the line from Main Street down to Mass Ave all the way to the Public Safety Building, and there was grease found in that whole trunk line. So it appears there's more grease getting into it.
Then I don't know. It's hard for me to fathom that with all the precautions I'm taking, that it's just solely me dumping grease. Now I wonder if anybody else is in the households dumping bacon grease or any other type of household waste down into there, sewer lines as well that's actually causing yet more issue. Because I can't, you know, like I said, we barely dump any grease down the, anymore. I mean, I can't say what prior to this whole thing, but I know the debacle since this thing, I've been like hammering this. I mean, I had to let somebody go because he wasn't going to comply. And I'm like, no, this is what we have to do. We clean the fryers, we take the water and everything out to the rendering pit. We do bacon or anything with grease, meatballs, it goes into a bucket and it goes out to the rendering pit. You know, so it's not going down the drain. So I don't know. I'm really perplexed at this point in time. And is it coming directly from our line? You know, down there, because I'm flabbergasted. I have no explanation for this.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
He asked you a question. Do we know that it is coming from his line?
All I can say is that the line from the pump station, the manhole from this, according to the individuals that were there, from the manhole closest to the establishment to the pump station, there was line. After that pump station, from there down past the public safety building, there was not.
And where is the closest pumping manhole?
Bill, you can answer that more than I
Yeah,
can. It's just past Bad Larry's, right?
Yeah, it's within about 100 feet of Bad Larry's.
I believe
Okay.
you're right. Yeah, I believe you're right.
And grease
Oh, yeah.
grease was found in that manhole.
Okay.
In that manhole. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna, as soon as this meeting's over, no matter what, I'm still gonna walk out in the kitchen and try to figure this thing through, because like I said, my goal is to make this as less as possible, you know? So, well, you guys need to let me know what you need, me to do. And aside from putting an external grease trap in myself, because I don't have the money for that. But other than that, I'd be happy to work with the town. Like I told, I forget who I was talking to on the phone. I'm willing to do whatever. I want to be proactive on this. I don't want any more problems. So you guys got to let me know what it is I need to do to make the situation better. That I can personally do.
So it appears we've lost our chairman, so we no longer have a quorum. I'm hoping he's gonna reach.
What happened?
We lost the chairman.
Oh, I
So we
thought
no
something
longer,
left.
so we no longer have a quorum. I don't know whether he got dropped. I just texted him. He's trying to get back in right now. My apologies for interrupting, but we don't have a quorum.
Be one of those days.
Technology is not working for us today.
I can't wait for meetings in person again too, Every day is one of those days in the restaurant business lately.
Okay, he's back. Hold on.
Okay.
John, you're muted. There you go.
Can everyone hear me?
We're good.
Go.
I'm beginning to have some internet problems, so what I was going to say is, I'd love to talk to these landlords right now. Is there any way we can postpone making a decision and try to have a conversation with the landlord? I mean, can Bad Larry's continue to operate?
Yeah, we haven't, the commission has not revoked his permit, nor
Right.
have they taken any action so I don't see why we can't continue, you can't continue it.
So, Larry, it would be helpful if you could communicate with him tomorrow and let him know that we really would like to speak with him.
As soon as I'm off the thing, he's getting a text. I mean, it's not gonna be tomorrow, it's gonna be now.
And when is our next,
October 10th.
October 10th?
Mhm.
Okay.
What,
Now, Mike, Mike Mackin, you had mentioned, I think there was a meeting that you wouldn't be able to attend because you're going to be on vacation. Will you-
Let me look that. I don't think. Let me look at that. Hold on. No, I'll be here for the 10th.
All right, let's see if we can get the landlord and Alan, get you back on the 10th.
Okay,
And Paula, let's see, yeah, it's Halloween, you won't be here, right?
Right, right.
Okay,
So I can send another letter to Mr. Arcidi, asking him to attend the meeting at the 10th as well. We
Okay.
do already have one appointment ahead. So Al, it'll probably be about the same time, about 6:30.
that's perfect.
But I'll put that to both of you.
It's perfect for
Okay.
me.
Is there,
All
excuse me, is there a way to put in there? I mean, I don't want to take a vote on this tonight because we don't really have all the facts here, like everything together on it, and he's not here, but is there a way to put the seriousness of this situation in that letter? In other words, we want an external grease trap. We haven't voted on it, but we want an external grease trap, and we want to hear how that's going to happen or something to that effect.
Yeah, I can definitely draft something and send it out to have
That's
Bill
all.
review it and send it out to John as well.
Yeah, I can only speak for myself because we haven't voted, but I know,
no, I
even back then, when this all happened, I was kind of leaning more towards external, and here we are, so.
no, Mike, I think that's a good suggestion. We need to keep grease out of the system, and this was a pretty major grease backup.
At the time, his father was running the show and his father has since passed.
Right,
Philip's a little bit more flexible, I find, than his father ever was. At the time, his father did not want to put an external grease trap in, and that's kind of why we negotiated and pushed for the non-external grease trap, but at this point in time, I understand the concern and the fact that I want to open full-time again, and we're already having an issue with part-time. I'm not arguing the situation at all with the commission. I'm here to go along and get along, not, fight. I will fight, but I'd rather not. I'd rather just be happy and enjoy the grandkids and do that stuff.
yeah, all right, Alan, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting.
Okay, we will see you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
okay, current business, minutes from 9/12. Did you guys have a chance to read those?
Yep.
Mike, did you?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay,
I don't have a printed copy with me, but I did get the glance.
okay. Do one of you want to make a motion to approve the minutes? Mike or Mike?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
and I will second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Mackin,
Aye.
Mike Nault,
All right,
I, for myself, the minutes are approved. Let's see,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
I'm sorry, I have to leave the meeting.
oh, the cemetery meeting, huh?
Yes.
Go green, go green.
Thank you.
Okay,
take care, Bill.
let's see, there's nothing new on the Leominster intermunicipal agreement. Bill left before the damages from 9/11 storm. Can you address that at all, Paula?
So there was significant damage from a road perspective, and drainage perspective in Lunenburg. So Bill has worked on that. Crews were out for a lot of overtime to address some of the road washouts, et cetera. But in addition to the roads, Bill requested that I take a look at the flows from the storm. We had heard from Leominster that their plant was actually operating over capacity during the storm. So I did take a look at the flow rates, and based on the flow rates, we did see a peak between the 11th and the 13th. And I associated some numbers with that and provided that to Bill, and It's just over $2,000 is what we incurred in costs for the extra flow. And Bill has incorporated that funding in his MEMA request.
Okay, good. Next is the appointment of an enforcing agent. You want to describe what is needed here, Paula?
So I think this is a two-pronged situation. As I've relayed to you in the past, we have a high delinquency rate. And actually, I was going to say this under one of the next items, but I'll just say it now. We currently have a 21% delinquency rate on our first quarter bills. I sent out the demands Jane and I sent them out on September 19th. And as of the 19th, the bills were due to be paid by 9/5. And we sent the delinquency notices out on the 15th. That's a very high delinquency rate, and some of those delinquencies are substantial. There are several individuals that have not paid for well over a year. So with Bill and myself and John have spoken with town council about ways to get those funds. And what we've talked about with council is under our regulations, we can employ a technique called non-criminal disposition. And basically it's a ticketing process, but it gives you a leg up if you do end up going to court to obtain the funding. So I've talked with town council, and who has also spoken with the town manager. This is an option open to us. And what the town manager has said is that someone will need to be named as the enforcing agent to issue those tickets. Her recommendation would be that it be myself. I don't have a problem if you guys want to appoint Bill or myself, but someone needs to be the enforcing agent to pursue non-criminal disposition. I do have a question, and I plan to talk with town council again about, typically there's a fine associated with non-criminal disposition. In all the templates that I've looked at, that's the situation. We don't really have a fining mechanism for non-payment of fees. So I'm not quite sure how that piece will work. So it's still a work in process.
Okay. But in the meantime, I think we could still vote to appoint you or Bill as our enforcing agent.
Correct.
Mike, do you have any questions about that? No? Okay.
I'm sorry, you're looking for a motion?
Well, I guess yes, I am.
Okay.
Then we can talk about it.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead, Mike, if you want.
I will make a motion to appoint Ms. Bertram as the enforcement agent.
Okay. Mike, you want to second?
I will second that motion to make Paula the enforcer.
I don't know if I like that title.
Any further discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Nault,
Aye.
Mike Mackin,
Aye.
aye for myself. The motion is passed.
Congratulations, Paula.
Oh, thanks.
You can add it to your job description now.
Yeah.
Okay, Paula, the business manager report.
So first is the system maintenance and upgrades, and under that is the new technician. I received an email from CTE that Robert Lilly is going to be the new technician for Lunenburg. Bill and I talked, and in accordance with the contract, we requested a copy of his resume and his credentials. In our IFB, we specified that individuals had to be certified and they had to be qualified. So the information I received back is what I have sent to you guys in your packages, which is his application, as well as apparently he has a construction supervisor license and a wastewater operator license. Mr. Lilly did come in last week with Albie and introduced himself. So I just wanted to let you know that we do have someone new here in town and make sure that you didn't have any concerns.
And what's your recommendation, Paula?
I honestly don't really have one. I'm a little bit surprised we didn't get a resume. I would personally like to see some more of the qualifications, but everything that I received is what I sent out.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be good to ask CTE for the resume again.
I just a point on the resume. The individual has a high school diploma and 2 years of college,
Right.
and
Major in
the
mathematics.
certifications necessary. I'm not sure this guy has a resume. He might make one up for us, but that'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Well,
Well,
maybe,
you know,
maybe the answer is to invite him to a meeting just to meet you guys. And
That would be
talk about his
that's a
experience.
better idea.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's,
that would be a better idea.
Yep.
I think that's probably a good idea. And the other concern is it's stated on his application he can't work what was it, Mondays and Wednesdays?
Wednesdays or Fridays.
Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays. So we hired CTE. I'm assuming CTE will have someone else working on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to cover us. But no, Mike, that was a good idea. Let's see if we can get him in here so he can introduce himself to the commission.
And maybe the folks at CTE as well, just to.
Yeah, I don't think that Wade would be adverse to attending a meeting. Wade is the business manager for CTE, and he's
Right.
attended a meeting with Bill and myself and John.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he would have a problem attending a remote meeting.
I have to say, it was just a little bit of a shock to me because we met Albie, who we thought was going to be the technician responsible for Lunenburg, and I was pretty impressed with what I saw, and then all of a sudden, we were given another name. I know that happens all the time, but yeah, I'd like to meet him.
So I'll ask if Wade and Robert are available.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Paula.
The alarms and clogs I sent out to you guys. We did have a situation. I can't even remember what I just sent out, but we did have a couple of issues, one on Francis Street. But they were handled by Albie. Robert was with him on those calls. So I did send out the report of where we are. Each meeting, you'll get another report, just of anything that's occurred since the last meeting. Line jetting, we did, Bill, we had Clean Basins come out to do some line jetting. And I sent out that report as well. And that will continue again this week. I don't have a date yet, but I'm assuming Wednesday or Thursday of this week, they'll do some more. We're trying to get more current and up to date with our jetting. I would recommend that next year we increase that line item because it is something that needs to happen on a regular basis, and something that the recommendation is to do at least 3 miles a year, and we had not been doing that. So our goal is to do that.
Okay. And let's see, you already talked about the demand mailing.
Yeah, they went out on the 19th.
Yeah. And the next item you have is the radiant classification.
I just wanted to make the commission aware that the personnel committee is in the process of looking at all of the positions under the salary administration plan. And one of those positions is the sewer business manager. I was not present in June when they did the classification of my position. but Mr. Bernard was, and had some concerns about the rating that was assigned to my position. And actually tonight I attended the Personnel Committee and gave a statement. The rating is a little bit odd in that the higher the number, the lower the position. So I was rated as a 7. No, I'm sorry, I was rated as a 10. And Bill and I went through the exercise of going through the rating process, and we both determined that I should be a 7, which is a higher level. So I am concerned about that. I will send out the statement that I read tonight at the Personnel Committee, but I have sent out the job description that was provided to me by HR, as well as a modified job description that Bill and I are working on. But I think there's a lot of duties in the current job description that are not defined and not included. And I also think that the position has evolved. I'm much more involved now with the technicians and with the field operations. I have been out to the pump stations on a number of occasions to check for maintenance, I've met Verizon out there for alarms. So the position has changed somewhat. But I think that the rating is significantly under what it needs to be.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm just going to make a comment. I guess it's more of a personal comment, because we haven't really discussed it as a commission, but Paula has shared some of the rating process. And me, quite frankly, I was kind of taken aback by how the Personnel Committee had rated the position. I just think there's so much more to it. And as Paula said, it has evolved. So I just personally want to say I fully support her and Bill's effort to get the rate that the Personnel Committee set it at to be changed. So just saying, I'm in full support in the effort that Paul and Bill are trying to do to get the rating changed.
Thank you.
Is there something that we as a commission can do, like make a recommendation that we're not happy with those numbers, or is that like something like a no-touch zone for us?
Personally, one of the things I said tonight is I think you guys are the ones that interact with me the most, besides Bill. So you're certainly more aware of what I do than, frankly, the Personnel Board. So I don't know that it's inappropriate for you to comment. I will say that tonight, I think that they heard me, and I think that they're willing to reevaluate that. But one of the things that I requested is that they review any rating with the boards and committees that the individuals work with. And they indicated that they do intend to do that. So.
Right. I think they should reach out to us, because I mean, we see it firsthand.
Is there a place where you can find how the ratings is derived?
I can send, that's one, I actually said that tonight. One of the questions that I have is they're utilizing a scale that they obtained from the town of Winchington. I'm not sure when that was done, but I can certainly send that out to you guys.
I'd like that.
Yeah, I can certainly send that out.
Okay. Do you think, Mike, this is something that we want to either put on the agenda the next time, or keep it as part of Paula's business manager report so that we can talk about it once you've had a chance to read?
Well, as long as, yeah, I think we should keep this discussion
Keep it
going.
visible.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Paula.
Okay, the assistant to the sewer business manager position, it was unfortunate, but the individual that was interested and I was hoping would take the position is no longer interested in the position. She's decided to retire and not go back to work. However, we did have another strong candidate that was supposed to come in for an interview 2 weeks ago, but believe it or not, she injured herself. She fell down the stairs that particular morning and broke her arm. So obviously was not able to attend the interview. But I have reached out to her. She is healing. She is still very interested in the position. So as soon as she's better, she would like to come in for an interview. The position is still being advertised, but unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of applicants. But my hope is that we're able to get the individual who's still interested on board in the very near future. The other thing with that position is both Bill and I, on the agenda at the Personnel Committee tonight, was the rating of the assistant to the sewer business manager position. So in anticipation of that meeting, both Bill and I reviewed the position and assigned a rating scale to that position. It is a 6. So obviously there's an issue. I'm rated as a 10. So there's some concerns. But we agreed, Bill and I agreed, and the committee agreed with the ratings that we assigned to the position.
To the assistant.
To the assistant position, yeah.
Okay,
So we did go through that exercise with them tonight, and we all agreed on what the number that they came up with. Just to give you an example, they came up with a score of 380 for that position. My position was assigned a score of 495. When Bill rated my position, he came up with 715, and when I rated my position, I came up with 655. So there's a big discrepancy there between what the committee came up with and what Bill and I came up with. So hopefully that will be fleshed out through this process.
okay. Thanks, Paula.
Yep.
Any public comment from the few of us that are left? Seeing none, does i.e. Mike or Michael want to make a motion to close the meeting?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second that at 7:29 on this evening. Good night, Lunenburg.
Well, hold on. I have to make it official here.
Oh, make it
No,
official.
no further discussion. Seeing none, let's take a vote. Mike Nault,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
and I for myself. The motion holds. Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night,
Good night, all.
everybody.
Take care.